Hello, VC. I just watched RobertZ's response to John TechHead's thread/contest about record investment. And first of all, I got to say I love RobertZ, and the vinyl community I've always viewed as just people that are passionate about music. I don't care what you do with it. If you want to leave it sealed, great. I know RobertZ has like digital copies, he has CD copies, so he can listen to the music that he's purchasing via the MoFi label. I do have some subsequent thoughts after seeing his video on MoFi, and I also got really nice interaction going with John TechHead. He responded to my video, which was great. I'm glad he appreciated it. I had some subsequent thoughts about the guys in Europe and the fact that stuff like the Music Matters pressings, the Analog Productions pressings, they're super expensive. They're super expensive here in the States too, but over in Europe, yeah, they are super expensive as well. So you have to be a little bit selective in picking them out when you're on a budget. And yeah, I don't have unlimited funds, so yeah, I'm on a budget myself. So being a subscriber to Music Matters, it really limits like other things that I can pick up. But I did want to talk about some labels in Europe that are doing jazz reissues that are really good, and hopefully these might be a little bit cheaper. I also want to talk about other types of music that, if you were to get into an investment situation, this might be perfect for you. And I think some of the music that you're making actually might be a great investment in itself, because there's a lot of great stuff coming out of Europe. But to go back to the jazz theme, there are two or three labels that are putting out jazz reissues in Europe that are really good in my opinion. So I have a few pieces, and I grabbed a couple from my collection. The first one is Pure Pleasure Music, which is based out of England. They really do a phenomenal job with their packaging. Yeah, I just happened to grab another Jazz Messengers album, but I do have a couple of their releases. I have a Louis Armstrong, and I actually have a Peggy Lee release. All of it is great. They are doing the best possible job to get the master tapes, or whatever the best copy of the master is in Europe for the releases. They do a great job with the reproduction of the covers. Great liner notes. Unfortunately, it's not a tip-on cover, but again, the packaging is great. The liner notes are great. They do a very nice job at reproducing the original artwork. The pressings, they're all done on 180 gram vinyl. Everything is pressed at Palace in Germany, at least as far as I'm aware, and they do a really good job at reproducing the original label too. As you can see, hey, this album was released in the 50s on a Columbia 6i, and so they did a great job on actually reproducing the label. So another label that actually does a fair job, and unfortunately I only have one record by them and I couldn't find it. It's a Thelonious Monk album. I know you were focused on Blue Notes, but there's a lot of Columbia stuff that is being reissued in Europe that in some ways it's just as good as some of the stuff that's on Blue Note. And they are Speaker's Corner, and they're based out of Germany as far as I'm aware. If I'm wrong, shoot me a comment, tell me I'm wrong. But I do know that they're based in Europe, and the one Thelonious Monk album that I have by them is great. I think it was on 180 gram vinyl. Again, the packaging was similar to Pure Pleasure. If you go to the Pure Pleasure Records website, you see that the two are linked, so you can see both catalogs. Another reissuer in Europe, which everyone is familiar with, is Music on Vinyl. And Music on Vinyl has an interesting arrangement with Sony, Columbia, and when Sony puts something out in the United States, It seems like they have a connection, or Columbia has a connection with Music Matters, and they're almost released at the same time. Now, what I've noticed with Music Matters is that they are releasing a lot more material than what Sony is doing in the States. So I pulled out a couple examples of what I have on music on vinyl, and I have several other releases, and I've really been impressed. Now, my understanding, Music on Vinyl just does digital sourcing for all their material, but they're going for 192 kilohertz, 24-bit in a lot of cases, and from what I've heard, it sounds really, really good. They're really big into colored pressings, and some of the stuff that they have is numbered. So one of the first things I grab is Shocking Blue. This is a nice 10-inch, and when I saw this come out, I had heard some of Shocking Blue's music, and I've always been impressed with what they had. Fortunately, they didn't really hit it big here in the United States. They had the one hit single, Venus, and that's it. But a lot of the other music, after I listened to this nice compilation, yeah, I was really impressed, and it's kind of too bad that they didn't make it bigger here in the United States. Music on Vinyl does do some numbered issues, and so this one, if you can see it, is 294. They do a lot of colored releases. Shocking Blue, of course, for the initial run. Hey, what do you know? It was on blue. The artwork on the Music on Vinyl releases, some of what I have, the artwork reproduction is not the best. The other example that I grabbed, let's see if I can pull it here, is Dusty Springfield album. And for Rob in Boston, I know you're a fan. John Paul Jones did the arranging on this album, but if you can see here, the artwork is really, really grainy. It'd be nice if they could go back and try and get some of the original artwork, but I'm not complaining. I mean, this particular album is hard to find in the States. I really like Dusty Springfield. Her Memphis album, which Analog Productions just released on a 45 RPM disc, is phenomenal. Four Men with Beards also did a version of it, which I have, and I don't have the Analog Productions one. I'd like to get it, but I have the Four Men on Beards, and the Four Men on Beards label I kind of stay away from. They don't give any information on their sourcing. For all I know, it could be coming from a CD, but my copy of Dusty Springfield's Memphis album is really flat. I mean, there's no dynamics to it. In fact, my CD copy sounds a whole lot better. I talked about Sony and their relationship with Music on Vinyl. So here is an example of Miles Davis release that Music on Vinyl did at the same time as Sony. Roundabout Midnight, which is a great album. This started out as a record store day release. RobertZ mentioned record store releases. I recommend picking those up too. The reason why is you're getting the first batch that's coming off the stamper. The nice thing about vinyl these days is they're not being produced in the same quantity that they were being done in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and early 80s. I don't see them like really upping the stampers, and there have been 1A, 1B pressings that I've heard that could have been the last ones off the stamper that just don't sound that great because the stamper was deforming. So really, if you can, I'd shoot to try and get a numbered copy if you can. And these, they were not badly priced when they came out. I mean, they were about $19, and even if you didn't get a numbered copy, I mean, Sony does unnumbered copied later. I happened to pick up Kind of Blue on mono. I didn't get the record store day numbered version. I tried to pick it immediately after, and it was mastered by Kevin Gray at Coherent Audio using high-res digital files, and it sounds really good. But now, just to touch on RobertZ's thread, what I found interesting is MoFi is also releasing the Miles Davis catalog. Now, as I said in another video, when it has the original master recording up here, that means that they got the original master tapes. And again, if they couldn't get the original master tapes, then they did it on the silver label. Now, are MoFi pressings the best? Not necessarily. People have their opinions. If you can, pick one up, listen to it, see if you like it. For RobertZ, this just happens to be 1999. I've listened to both this and the version that Kevin Gray did, and to be quite honest, my ears, at least my system, is not capable of resolving that much difference between the two. Maybe it's just me, but I had pre-ordered this, and MoFi, they'll advertise a release for a long time, and you never know when it's actually going to be released. And so I pre-ordered this, and then of course the record store variant came out, and I wanted to pick up the record store variant, but I kept this and got it, and I like them both. I can't really sense the difference between the two, but maybe if I had a higher fidelity system, I could discern the difference. But just going back to RobertZ's thread again, so he was showing Dylan, and I have not picked up all the Dylan issues. I want to be a little bit selective. I prefer to listen to the music that I pick up, and I can understand why RobertZ keeps his seal. But all I gotta say is the Dylan MoFi ones that I've picked up, the ones that have been the master recording, they're phenomenal. They're probably the best I've ever heard it. I have a CD, Super Audio CD of this. I've heard an original pressing of this, and this puppy is three-dimensional. It's like Dylan is playing in your room. It's everything which the folks have been reviewing it, the professional reviewers have said. In my experience, it's like Dylan is in your room playing, so it's great.